Hey, I'm Jason, and if you're watching this, you're probably joining me for a glimpse of what the digital monetary system is going to look like 2, 5, 10 years down the road. Now, this article takes about 15, maybe 17 minutes to read aloud, so I'm going to save you and I a little bit of time and just get to the key points. Dr. Pippa Malmgren begins this piece talking about what is the world going to look like after the war between Russia and Ukraine is over. So she goes, quote, "It is too early to say Ukraine will win, but it is not too early to say Russia is already losing. The leadership may face trials for war crimes, but the next Russia and any new nations that will spring to life as Russia ceases to have influence will want and need financial support. They will inevitably direct the request for support to the US and Europe." So the case she's making is basically that the West, so US and Europe, are tapped out. So the governments around here, we already have massive debt burdens in terms of gross domestic product to national debt. We're already running high deficits. There is no austerity coming down the road. And all of our central banks have done all of this quantitative easing to address crisis after crisis. And now we have inflation. So they have to go fighting that. So what are the central banks going to do? And the solution that she gives is personalized unlimited monetary policy, which she assigns the acronym for PUMP. And the way that that's going to work, what is the primary input of PUMP? The primary input is massive amounts of data. And where is that massive amount of data going to come from? A digital currency that will live on your smartphone, and public and private entities, so governments and large global corporations, are essentially going to collude with one another in order to keep this data collection train going at all times. This CBDC wallet will live on your phone, and thus the public and private entities, the governments, and the mega corporations are going to have a thorough glimpse into every aspect of your digital life. So let's just get going into the article here. Quote, "Monetary policy can and will become personalized. We'll talk about a generalized federal funds rate with nostalgia as we try to understand how the world looks when the government can provide capital or tax on a company-by-company or person-by-person basis." We continue. "We already know how CBDC will work from a practical perspective. The government will drop a tempting amount of money into your smartphone in the middle of the night. You will wake up to find something like $1,000 is suddenly available if you register. The registration process will effectively give the government permission to access anything on your phone. If you were involved in any illegal stuff, then this is going to be a problem for you. But it's those who are not involved in illegal stuff that we have to think about. This is where AI algorithms will be running through all your data to find correlations and reach conclusions about how capital should or should not be allocated to you. Imagine being an entrepreneur who is having an affair, creating a venture that is in an area government really wants to have developed, like, say, quantum computing or genetic research. The algorithms comb through your data, noting that your walking gait indicates you are depressed and that your spending habits reveal that you are statistically likely to be getting a divorce in the next 6 months. In a CBDC world, decisions can be made to allocate capital to others who are more stable and to get capital to you after your divorce is finalized. If this sounds like micromanagement, then you have not understood AI and data collection. You have not understood why all superpowers are racing to collect and process data on their citizens using supercomputers and quantum computers. So I see that choice of industry was not random earlier. Moving from currency to digitization in general, think about what's happening to cars as a result of digitization. You increasingly won't own a car. You'll have a subscription to a transportation method where the car you use may not be yours but borrowed from a network. You may be charged per feature for using a baby seat or heated seats, and per mile, instead of being charged all at once. This has huge implications for the ownership of critical assets, including your home and the power grid, as Isabella Kaminska points out in The Blind Spot, another blog which is quoted here. Bar a mass change to the outlook for the rate market, mortgage holidays won't evolve into repossessions or defaults. To maintain market order, the government will have no choice but to intervene. It will become buyer of last resort of the nation's distressed housing stock. And since it has no interest in repossessing or kicking out occupants, it will see to it that the same stock is leased back to the original occupiers on more affordable monthly terms. The overly indebted, however, won't get off entirely scot-free. Some sort of additional conditionality regarding energy footprints, insulation, spare rooms, and goodness knows what else will likely be added to most agreements. The government will at this point become your landlord. The key thing is that personalized unlimited monetary policy, is the future. If you have considered the implications of a customized approach to the allocation of capital, think about a world where your DNA becomes a reason for allocating capital or denying it to you, or denying access to capital to you. This is one reason why the Chinese are racing to collect DNA on all of their citizens. It allows not just the immediate verification of identity, it also allows you to see if your behaviors, like say your consumption of alcohol, match up with a genetic inclination towards alcoholism or alcohol use disorder. The rollout of CBDC is starting in large and small markets, where we can observe how it's going to look. Australia will go live with the CBDC in 2023. India's pilot project for its new digital rupee is on track for 2023 as well. The EU is now preparing its version of a CBDC. Notice that the ECB has chosen Amazon as one of the issuers of the new CBDC. Amazon is not only the largest consumer transaction platform in the world, but it also runs the data centers for more than 17 U.S. intelligence agencies. Notice that the Biden administration is also pursuing executive orders to make data sharing with the EU much easier. Britain, being newly independent of the EU post-Brexit, has also announced a new GDPR data protection system. And finally, we end on this note. CBDC may let governments pump money into the economy on a much more personalized basis, but it may turn out that the average person is not what the algorithm thought and won't be what the algorithm expects in the future. Make no mistake, CBDC with a pump approach will pit AI-led algorithms against humans. The geopolitical war on the ground in Ukraine may be ending or changing, but the citizens' personal war with algorithms via CBDC is just starting. I don't know about you, but that sounds like exactly the kind of world that I want to live in, said nobody ever. If you found this video useful, supply me with a like, and you can demand more of these videos by liking and or subscribing on whichever platform you're viewing on. I hope you found this enjoyable, if not a little dark and depressing. Maybe go outside, get a little sunlight, some vitamin D, because it is kind of dark and depressing that this could very well be where we're headed. But anyway, I will see you next time. Thank you very much for joining. Have a good one. Goodbye.